What's happening, Wargamers? Welcome to another issue of the Dossier, where we discuss characters from Marvel Crisis Protocol, what we like, what we don't like, all that sort of great stuff, and of course, share our opinions, which you should take as the potatoes that they are. Whether or not you agree, disagree, whatever, these are just our thoughts on these various characters. And continuing on with our view of the new Earth's Mightiest core set characters, we're starting to move into some of the bad guys here. We are going to start off with Doc Ock, Sinister Scientist. Now, as usual, we're going to start with the model itself and kind of discuss what we like and don't like about it. I'm just going to try and focus back in here. It's always kind of tricky. And yeah, so like Doc Ock here. Troop has had a lot to say. It's local scientist man doing science. He really absolutely hates the fact that he's got a beaker on here and he's a physicist. I kind of like it. It's a nice little extra touch. I do like the fact that he's raised up on his tentacles this time, unlike the original Core Box one. It just feels a little bit more fitting. I like the trench coat. I like how everything is, like the tentacles themselves have different levels in the ground that you can see right there. Just all in all, I really do dig the model. I think it actually works really nicely. The beaker and the flask is a nice little touch, and everything on him comes up really nicely. The tentacles themselves slot in very nicely to the back pieces as well. It was very easy to assemble, which is always great with these. AMG has really upped their game with that particular aspect of their model design, and all the details are crisp and come through very clearly. So that is Doc Ock, Sinister Scientist, and that is what his model offers. So for his card itself, we have a pretty standard 4-threat line here, 4-4-3 for his defenses, 6 stamina, size 2, 4-threat, medium movement. Nothing really surprising there. We have a physical attack. It's his builder attack, striking tentacles, range 3, 5 dice for 0 power. It's got your typical builder with a wild flurry of arms, so wilds count as 2 successes. I've really been growing to love those particular triggers these days, because you roll wilds a lot more regularly than you think of, and when you get them, it can really churn a 4 or 5 dice attack into a much more devastating attack as a result. Next up, we have his energy attack, Arm Lasers 2.0, beam 4, range 4 dice with 0 power, with a wild incinerate. Now in this particular case, I believe it has lost the ignores line of sight and cover, which is a little unfortunate. But at the same time, I mean, you can't win them all, and sometimes you need to make some subtle changes to make a character work overall. We have also gained another spender with a physical scientific breakthrough, range 3, 7 dice physical for 4 power. If the attack deals damage after the attack is resolved, a target character gains bleed, poison, shock. That is a lot of conditions, and all you got to do is get that 1 damage through. And I don't have to be the one to tell you that 1 condition can really be a hindrance. 3 conditions can actually kind of cripple you a little bit, because you can only shake so many times, and there's only so many ways of getting rid of those conditions. So being able to just put 3 of them on from range 3 is just it's really nice. It's excellent. The big part of this card, though, is we have the Sinister Six affiliation for Spider Foes. This has been a long time coming. A lot of people have really been looking forward to this. We've been speculating on what it could or could not have in it. So now we have that answer. So once per turn, after an attack targeting an allied character is resolved, if the character is not dazed, it gains 1 power. Note that it does not require damage to be done. You simply gain the power if you are the target of an attack. And that is just absolutely fantastic. So really like that first part there. Additionally, once per turn, when an allied character suffers damage from an enemy attack, after the attack is resolved, it may remove one of the following special conditions: shock, slow, or incinerate. So now we also have a great way of taking off some of the more impactful conditions on here, which again is really nice. No one ever wants to have that incinerate, and because it's after the attack goes and you resolve your stuff after the attacker resolves their stuff, because it's always active, non-active, they can put one of these conditions on you, and if you took damage, you can just immediately get rid of it. Just great. So I do really like the Sinister Six leadership there. I think it's really interesting. It's got some good play. Then we have a 3-power superpower called Ock's Grasp. It is active. Choose an interactive terrain feature or enemy character size 3 or less within range 3 and throw it short. This is great. It's range 3, which is deceptively long for when you really consider it, and it's size 3. So you're getting a lot of targets in here, and just having that throw is just great to have. And you'll notice he's not very power hungry. He only has 2 things he's spending power on. So you're going to be able to do this quite a bit. Then we got Scientific Hubris. We saw this on the previous one. Whenever he would roll a critical result, he's going to gain 1 power, which just helps fuel Doc Ock's Grasp and Scientific Breakthrough. So great. And then we got Wall Crawler. And that is his card. So where does Doc Ock really find a home in this game at the moment? Well, he's a 4 threat, so he's a little bit beefier than the previous Doc, who I think was I want to say was a 3 threat. But he comes with a lot of extra tools to kind of get himself through and impact the game in various ways, which I really like. We have played him on the table with Sinister Six, and right now it kind of feels like the affiliation is kind of missing something at the moment. Like the characters they all take advantage of it, but it's going to be really curious to see how much better they can take advantage once we see the new wave of spider foes next year. The Shocker, the Vulture, Electro, and Sandman. Because right now, like there's some characters that can really do some neat things with it. Rhino is a lot of fun with it, because anytime you're using Rhino, not only is he gaining power for being the target of an attack, but he's also getting ornery, and you can now slow down those shocks and incinerates and everything like that, which again, anytime you can ditch those conditions, it is always a win. So he is going to bring some interesting things to his own affiliation, especially once we see these new characters. I do really like it. As far as other affiliations that he works well in, he brings an interesting toolkit. I don't know if he necessarily supplants other 4 threats in the game, although having that very easy to reach range 3 short throw for size 3 terrain or characters can really come in clutch. I mean, being able to throw anything is always really solid. So there are teams who can definitely benefit from that, especially if you go into other teams that can power you up, in Humans, Cabal, anything like that, can really get some extra power going your way. Or just even into teams that might be lacking a little bit of native throws. I've kind of considered him in Shield as a power battery and as a throw battery. Just because he might be able to bring some interesting stuff to it. And if you're running Tony's leadership, re-rolling possibly into those wilds, really solid. Of course, there's always the de facto, everyone's good in Avengers, so we won't really talk about that. But in general, I think Doc Ock is an interesting 4-threat splash that you can take to a bunch of different teams, and it might be worth trying him out on the table at your local. Whether or not he makes any of the major competitive scenes, that remains to be seen. But overall, he's an interesting character. I think he brings some good kit to the table, and I think he's going to kind of reinvigorate the spider foes a little bit. So definitely sound off on the comments below. Do you like this character? Do you not like this character? What would you like to see? All that sort of great stuff. And of course, if you're looking to support the channel, patreon.com/AegisBrandStudios. And we will see you next time. Happy wargaming.